You may have wondered how many ways there are to cut in a large stock item into a small pieces or provide lengths if you have seen the metal bar or scrap cut into small bit tools or cut off large metal rods. The answer is too many ways. There are to cut the large stock item into a small pieces or the length that required from the customers. The answer is too many ways. Maybe a better question about how to cut small pieces needed from the stock item so that it is minimum. You might ask another question about how to cut the necessary small pieces that the stock items so that I use the least possible stock items. This problem is called the problem of cutting stock. And the teachers in industry deal with this problem every day in a subfield of applied mathematics and programming operations. Let's summarize briefly what we have looked at my final year project. We have two different ways of cutting stock. The method we use is one-dimensional algorithm and CUCKOO search algorithm. So I will explain in details what is one-dimensional. One-dimensional is the piece that the customer requires a single cut and is called one-dimensional. For example, include the scrap, wood and paper rolls. The software I use in one-dimensional is MATLAB, RealCut 1D and also GONES 1D. And now I like to move to another part, which is CUCKOO search. CUCKOO search is what? CUCKOO search is a new meta-heuristic algorithm and is very formulated to solve optimization problems. In conjunction, algorithm is based on the obligatory parasitic behavior of some CUCKOO species. So the proposed algorithm is validated against the test function and then compare the genetic algorithm, and MATLAB was the software that I use. Okay, let's now turn to the board of method. In one-dimensional, all three programs are compared and we choose which one is the least wasteful. But in CUCKOO search, we only use one program, which is I use MATLAB. After that, we want to compare two methods and choose best method to reduce the waste. Let me elaborate further on. Since there are a lot of wastage during the cutting process, and it's so important to compare and determine which is the best method to resolve waste issues during the cutting process. So, turning our attention now to the objective is to develop two models for solving the cutting stock problem in a scrap, wood and the paper sheet cutting process using two approaches, which is I use one-dimensional and CUCKOO search. And then to determine the best approach that can optimize the remnant. Taking the pros and cons, I come to the conclusion that the thing that I need to be considered from what we have heard so far is the extent to which we are sure that we will have issues before we take a step to improve them. The plan does not be certainty as a concern and is able to foresee any risk that causes waste and to dump resources to prevent it from occurring regardless of whether it will occur. With the goals of using the most powerful methods, we aim to overcome waste. We have considered two models for the cutting stock problem, and two methods allows to compute an optimal solution with less trim loss. We conclude that CUCKOO search approach and one-dimensional method have a different method the working to solve the cutting stock problem. So the result attained for the industry also show a clear difference for the computing times, having a similar quantity for the results. I'd like to thank you for taking time out to listen to my presentation.